Hello and welcome to all. This video here is going to begin a chess-based DVD series that I'm going to be doing. So if you're a member of the channel, you're going to really enjoy this. And if you are a newcomer, you're going to like this as well. So because what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of introduce you to the DVD. I'm going to give you just a snippet of some things from the DVD and show you how it works and show you how it will work for you. And most of the people here are here that have computer chess boards, and these DVDs really complement playing on a chessboard quite well because of just how they're laid out, how the authors talk to you, how you get focused, and that sort of thing. So what I'd like to start out with here is that this is actually, I think, if it's not my favorite, it's one of my favorite DVD series that made by Chessbase, and it's relatively new. Even Sokolov, let me go ahead and open this up here. And this is even Sokolov made this 4-part series. This is volume 1 of 4 volumes. And he's a superb trainer of middle game strategy. I've watched all of his DVDs. I've got some of his books. I've watched him material from other sources, and I just got to say, I don't think that anything that I've tried to study on the middle game has gave me any more practical insight into just ideas that would be very strong against opponents, no matter if you're playing blitz, rapids, or even classical games. So that's it. A little bit of background on him. He's a Bosnian born grandmaster. He now currently plays under the Netherlands flag. I think he peaked at in 2004 with a rating of 2706, and I believe his highest rank was number 19 in the world. So definitely, has been amongst the strongest players and played in some of the very high category tournaments and play with some of the best players in the world. So anyway, just to move forward here to show you how this DVD is laid out. First of all, over here in the menu, you have these chapters. So the introduction, he gives you an introduction introduction video. He kind of tells you what he's going to be teaching you in this particular volume right here. This is volume 1, understanding the middle game strategies, and it's really about dynamic pawns. So if you look over here and now if you click minor sacrifices, he gives a little spiel on what this is to him. And then there's several games that he goes through, several key games. And these games are part of the DVD. I'll show you at the end where you get all these games and the analysis that he does to the games that you can go back and play over. I'll show you one quick cool thing here in a minute. Let's go back to pawn rollers. This, I think, is my favorite part of this volume here is pawn rollers, where he just talk about creating, sacrificing a piece just for a couple of pawns and really using those pawns in the center of the board to just kind of, boost your presence in the middle of the board and just control your enemy's minor pieces with these pawns that you sacrifice a piece for. Now, this is an interesting idea. I've never really, articulated this idea in my mind. It's called a voluntary creation of a pawn island. This is something that he has a very model game here from So and Topalov. Again, when you're talking middle games, you can't really, it ain't like an end game. It's not like the opening where you can say, okay, here's an opening, here's variations, or end game, here's typical positions. It's not really like that. You just want to give somebody an idea and let them kind of build a strategy around that idea. Because you could probably think of many strategies if you're, in the midst of playing, or how you create voluntary creative pawn island that might be to your advantage depending on the situation. All right, so the next part is G and H pawns, and this is dynamic ideas. Again, one thing I like about these little chapter names is that they give you just the basis idea. They articulate that idea in words. Like, these are things that we might have all done in games, but when you actually have a defined sentence or defined phrase or defined idea, it's different than just saying, oh, just going to sacrifice a piece intuitively for a couple of pawns, but not really having that real intuition to follow it up and how really did like use it to its very core. So just as a fantastic title, I think here, G&H Pawns Dynamic Ideas. So apparently we're going to be talking about attacking on the king side and things like that, right? So then in the next part of this DVD, you have this exercise part here, which I think is good. And so we're going to take a look at one exercise. I just want to give you an idea of what happens when you look at these exercises. So I believe, let's go to exercise 1 here and see what happens here.
This is game of Luc van Wely.
Yes.
Versus Victor Korchnoi. This is not in a DVD, but if you watch DVD carefully, you might have an idea how did Van Wely continue here with a black.
So as you see, this part of the DVD, after he goes through all of the other material, he gives you these exercises to go through, and they kind of just put you in a real moment and kind of challenge you. So in this case, now if you make the wrong move, like that's okay. And sometimes it'll tell you, it'll give you some encouragement. Like for example, let's just make, I'm gonna just make a move. I'm pretty sure that's wrong. I'm like, we're just gonna make this move.
In the case that you have difficulty finding the right way to proceed, try to think about playing on a side where you potentially can be stronger, which could be the king side.
And as you see in this part, he gave you a little hint. But however, do you remember the chapter said dynamic G and H pawns? Look at all of White's, not all of them, but most of the pieces on the queen side. His king is uncastled. Your queen has an entry point to the king side. And well, your knight can hop to the king side as well. So it looks a little dodgy for White. I mean, intuitively, you could be thinking this way. So the right idea is to push G5. So let's see after we push G5 and see what happens. Okay, sorry, I should have hit try again. Now push G5, sorry.
You did very well if you understood that G pawn is important here and that the move G5 should be played. Why? Because you would like to hit this knight on F3, as indeed after castles you did manage to push G4, send this knight to passive position E1, and then further continue with advancing your pawns with H5. This plan did bring Van Wely victory in this game.
And so as you see, not only when you make the right move, you just see that it was the right move, you actually get, a follow from him that kind of helps solidify that idea, maybe how you can use that idea to, attack if you're doing dynamic G and H pawn. So this is exactly what that chapter was about. And I mean, if you just look at this now, this looks a bit scary for White. If I was White, I would be thinking about how could I get my queen efficiently to the queen side, and how could I stop Black from opening up the king side to have a row or a line just straight down to my king. So that, with that said, that was a sterling example of what you can get out of this DVD here. Let's close this up. So now we move forward here. We go to bonus. Now bonus, you're going to see the analysis games. These are the games that actually come with the DVD here. All of the games that come inside of the chapters. So one thing which you could do, I'll give you an example, right? Like right here, if you see, let's just open this game up here. Now this, what I'm about to do, you'd have to have Chessbase for example, to really use this feature here. So let's say, for example, at night, after knight H5, if you go to reference, for example, it takes a second for everything to fire up here because it's, so you get a a yeah, I got my database loaded. So you get you know, sometimes you get games that populate this that had this exact position here. So apparently this must be a fairly new game because this is the only game. So basically this must have been a novelty in this game at some point. This appears to be the only game that had that position. So let's see, can we go back a little bit further? Let's go here. Go back to reference. And as you see, we have way more games pop up at this point. So again, you can use that reference tab if you had Chessbase 16 to filter out and find more games that's similar to the games you have in this DVD and perhaps get more ideas. So that's one thing you can do, but that's only if you had Chessbase 16. So I just wanted to kind of show you that feature there. So let's go back here. So we go back, I'm gonna have to open the DVD again here. One other thing that's added is that here in further examples, if you open this up here, these games right here are not part of the DVD and, you know, the chapters, like, you know, dynamic pawns and minor piece sacrifice and so on. But however, these pieces here, these games here are annotated. And so if you look at these games, and let's open up this one here, for example. If you go to move 19, it's kind of like this game, he's challenging you to find a solution to this game. So here, what you would do is you would make a move, and you know, normally the move, it would pop up. So my move here, again, like I said, I guessed this one here correctly, was to play c6 because you're temporarily sacrificing a pawn. So if we go here, well, you know, you just hit solution, you can see that e6 was the right idea. We don't really have to go through this whole game, but what I want to show you is that how you can get something out of this. So now let's take a look at this. Let's do a little analysis here. Now, black was to take this pawn. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to come over and take this rook because obviously you're going to put more pressure on this pawn that you just sacrificed. Now, if black is not careful here, I mean, you gotta look at this knight is ready to pounce in here on this square here, for example. I mean, black is just, oh, sorry, I hit the wrong square there. Yeah, that square there. So there, and then this knight here can obviously come here. So it's a lot of things going on here that the black don't watch. Although the white bishop is on this same diagonal here, there's a lot of things going on here that black has to pay attention to. Let me bring that back up here. So, for example, black was to come up here, right? You know, there is a situation now where you're gonna have a knight coming in here, and that's a bit scary there. Because again, now he's suddenly he's threatening this square here. And I mean, there's just so much going on here, and he can't obviously come here. If he goes to this side here, his, you know, he can't. If he goes here, that's a bad situation. Let's say the king goes here, that's a bad situation. If he goes here, I mean, it's also a bad situation. So, is, you know, these are the kind of things that you want to get out of this DVD. Is like more like how to take an idea but formulate a strategy to get to that idea. Like, for example, you just can't sacrifice a minor piece for two pawns just in any position, but you might want to build your strategy to say, hey, if I can get all of my, if I can get my opponent to think I'm attacking on the queen side, and he brings pieces to this queen side, but I do have some of my pieces directed towards his king side. Maybe I can sacrifice a piece in the center of the board for a couple of pieces, or maybe I can push my, you know, begin pushing my G and H pawn, you know, to steamroll on that side of the board. So there's many ways you have to think about that. So with that said, I'll show you this. This here is the Chessbase shop. This is the description of the DVD. It's 4 hours and 50 minutes long. They also just, I encourage you to go ahead and watch this video here. Just a link will be in the description so you can get an introduction. He's an excellent trainer. I think he's a senior FIDE trainer. And in addition to contents here, they also, you have all the contents here in the chapter at the beginning of each one, like minor sacrifices, pawn rollers, and just, tell you. And that, again, this is a chapter DVD series, and I'll link all those in the description. But with that said, this is the beginning of that Chessbase series. And again, I'm beginning with this series here. I mean, these 4 volumes because, well, you're not really going to get pretty much any better middle game training than these 4 DVDs here. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There'll be more to come. Stay tuned and take care until the next one. And I'll see you around.